Have you ever paused, truly paused, to consider the delicate architecture of trust? We often speak of love as a fortress, a grand, unyielding structure where every corner offers refuge, every wall provides an impenetrable shield. And for a time, perhaps, it feels that way. A sanctuary built on shared laughter, whispered secrets, and the silent understanding that blooms between two souls. It's a beautiful vision, isn't it? This haven, this quiet harbor where the heart can finally rest. But what happens, my friends, when that haven begins to lose its quiet? When the very air within those walls, once so soothing, starts to carry an unspoken tension? You see, the threads that weave two hearts together are not always thick cables of steel. More often, they are fine, shimmering strands, spun from daily acts of presence, from listening not just with the ears, but with the soul. And these delicate threads, almost imperceptibly, can begin to thin. It's not always a dramatic event that causes this. No thunderous argument, no sudden betrayal that shatters the glass. Sometimes it is merely the slow, quiet erosion of a shared inner landscape, a feeling that settles in the atmosphere like dust motes dancing in a beam of fading light, a subtle shift in the energetic current that flows between two people. Think of a woman's soul. Once, perhaps, it was a garden in full bloom, open, vibrant, radiating with a natural joy. She offered her vulnerability, her deep intuitive knowing, her very essence, with a trust that felt boundless. But when the quiet of her haven is disturbed, when the unspoken sense of safety diminishes, that garden begins to close its petals. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the light within her, once so readily shared, retreats inward. It manifests not as a shout, but as a whisper heard only at night, in solitude, when the world outside has hushed and the inner landscape becomes starkly visible. A whisper that carries a quiet truth. She doesn't feel safe with me anymore. This isn't an accusation, dear listener, but rather a profound call. A call to understanding. A summons to look beyond the surface, to delve into the deeper currents of what true intimacy truly means. For safety is not merely the absence of threat, it is the active presence of understanding. It is the feeling of being seen, truly seen, without judgment, without expectation, without the need to perform or to justify. It is knowing that one's inner world, in all its complexity and vulnerability, is honored and held with reverence. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. But when that sense of security falters, her breath itself can become shallow, her vital energy constrained. We often mistake safety for routine, for predictability. We believe that if nothing overtly bad is happening, then all must be well. But the soul speaks a different language. It communicates through feeling, through intuition, through the subtle shifts in energy that ripple between two beings. When these signals are unheard, unacknowledged, or dismissed, the inner world begins to fortify itself. It builds walls, not to keep someone out in anger, but to protect a sacred space that no longer feels secure. This is where the very current of life itself begins to shift. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. It is a powerful, creative, healing force. But for this current to flow freely, there must be a conduit of trust, of open-hearted vulnerability.
When that conduit is constricted by a quiet lack of safety, the energy doesn't simply disappear, it becomes blocked, it stagnates. And when energy is blocked, we don't lose sex, we lose vitality. We lose the spark, the zest for life, the creative impulse that fuels our days and inspires our nights. The sensual current, which is truly the current of life, becomes a trickle instead of a river. Desire, which is the language through which the soul speaks, begins to whisper less frequently than to fall silent altogether. It is not the body calling for pleasure alone, it is the soul singing for connection, for recognition, for the joyful merging of two fully present beings. Attraction, remember, is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. It's the profound recognition of two energetic forms drawn to one another to create something new, something vital. But for this remembrance to unfold, there must be an environment where both souls feel free to express their deepest essence. If one soul is guarded, if it feels the subtle pressure of being misunderstood or unheard or simply unseen, then the universe's remembering becomes fragmented. The song of attraction dims, not because the beauty has faded, but because the space for it to resonate has shrunk. This closing off is not a judgment against the man. It is a profound signal from the depths of her being. It's an invitation, albeit a challenging one, for a man to look inward, to ask, where have I ceased to be truly present? Where have I allowed the noise of the world or the demands of my own mind to drown out the quiet whispers of her heart? A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when he stops listening with his entire being, when he ceases to cherish the delicate ecosystem of shared trust. To reclaim that sense of safety, one must first recognize its absence. It requires a willingness to sit in the quiet, to listen to the whisper, and to understand that the feeling of unease is not a flaw in her, but a signal in the shared space between you. It asks for a return to reverence, for the subtle nuances of her emotions, for the unspoken depths of her spirit, for the sacredness of her vulnerability. True intimacy, you see, is not just about bodies connecting. It is about souls dwelling together in a space of profound acceptance. It is about creating a haven where every breath feels safe, every thought is welcome, and every feeling is held with gentle understanding. It is about being the unwavering presence, the calm center that allows her own light to shine forth without fear. When we awaken to this understanding, we realize that rekindling closeness isn't about grand gestures or learned techniques. It's about remembering how to truly be present, how to listen with the heart, how to offer that profound, unconditional safety that allows another soul to unfurl, to breathe freely, to bloom once more in the shared garden of intimacy. It's about becoming, once again, the quiet harbor where her heart can truly rest.
When she whispers, or even just feels, that she doesn't feel safe with you anymore, this is not a caprice. It is not a fleeting mood. It is a signal, a profound, sacred signal. And often we look for its source in the world outside, in circumstances, in the daily frictions. But the truest cause, my friend, is often found within, in the invisible currents of energy that have ceased to flow freely between you. When she whispers, or even just feels, that she doesn't feel safe with you anymore, this is not a caprice. It is not a fleeting mood. It is a signal, a profound, sacred signal. And often we look for its source in the world outside, in circumstances, in the daily frictions. But the truest cause, my friend, is often found within, in the invisible currents of energy that have ceased to flow freely between you.
The parts you hide, the fears you carry, the imperfections you believe make you less worthy. To have these met, not with judgment, not with fear, but with reverence, with respect. That is safety. It is not merely the absence of pain, not just a quiet space where wounds cease to ache. No, it is the active, vibrant presence of something else entirely, deep, nourishing empathy, a resonant understanding that wraps around your being like warm earth around a seed. It doesn't fix you, it nourishes you. It acknowledges your journey, your struggles, your inherent worth, simply because you are. This is the ground upon which true intimacy is built. This is the sacred crucible where two souls can truly meet. Between a man and a woman, something far grander than mere passion flows. It is the very current of life itself, a river ancient and strong, carrying creativity, healing, and boundless potential. We often mistake this river for a small stream, focused only on its physical banks, its immediate desires. But its source, its depth, its true power lies in its life-giving force. And when this current, this life feels safe, truly deeply safe, then it truly blossoms. It unfolds. It manifests in all its vibrant, creative, healing power. Think of a seed dormant in the dark earth. It needs safety, warmth, moisture, the promise of nourishment to unfurl its first tentative root. So too does the life force within us, between us. When a woman breathes deeply, truly deeply from the core of her being, allowing her breath to fill her, expand her, release her, life breathes with her. The universe responds. Her breath becomes a symphony. It's not just air filling her lungs, it's the very spirit of creation moving through her. And in that deep breathing, she is open, she is receptive, she is present. Her energy, when allowed to flow freely, unburdened by fear or expectation, becomes a wellspring, a profound source of inspiration. Not just physical desire, no, something far richer. It's the spark that ignites art, that fuels purpose, that inspires growth, that fosters connection, not just between bodies, but between hearts, between minds, between spirits. It's a muse, a guiding light, a quiet, potent force that elevates everything it touches. Desire. We have so often misunderstood this word, cloaked it in shame, reduced it to a simple, fleeting urge. But desire is the language through which the soul speaks. It is the soul's deepest longing, not for a fleeting touch, but for connection, not for momentary pleasure, but for profound union, not for possession, but for belonging. When your soul desires, it is not merely your body calling for sensation. It is your essence reaching out, longing to be seen, to be known, to be met, to merge with something greater than itself, to experience itself fully, beautifully, through the dance of connection. Consider this. A woman, when she feels truly safe, truly seen, truly held, her radiance becomes palpable. Her laughter rings with a deeper joy. Her touch carries a healing warmth. Her presence itself becomes an anchor, a source of peace, a sanctuary.
This is not something she does, it's something she becomes. It's her authentic self, unconstrained, allowed to shine. And for a man to be the one who provides this sacred space, it is not about control or strength in the conventional sense. It is about stillness. It is about presence. It is about the quiet power of unwavering acceptance. It is about the gentle strength that says, I am here, you are safe, you are loved, just as you are. When she feels that profound safety, the kind that breathes with her, her vulnerability transforms into strength. Her soft edges become a source of immense power. Her intuition, her innate wisdom, her capacity for nurturing, for creation, these all come alive because the fear that might have kept them hidden, bound, suppressed,
has dissolved. And what happens when this fear dissolves? The energy that was once blocked, held captive by anxiety or past hurt, begins to flow again. When energy is blocked, we don't just lose sex. That is merely one manifestation. No, when energy is blocked, we lose vitality. We lose our zest for life. Our creativity dulls. Our joy diminishes. Our capacity for connection withers. We become disconnected, not just from each other, but from ourselves, from the very current of life that sustains us. The physical expression of desire, when it arises from this deep well of safety and understanding, it transcends the ordinary. It becomes an act of sacred communion, a dance of two souls expressing their profound connection through the language of the body. It is an echo of the universe remembering itself, a celebration of life, a powerful conduit for healing, for renewal, for deep soul-level joy. This is not a concept to be intellectually grasped. It is a feeling to be embodied, to be cultivated, to be lived. It's a return to an innate wisdom that perhaps we've forgotten, a remembering of what it truly means to be fully alive, fully connected, fully human. It is about creating a space where the heart can finally, truly open, where the barriers built over years or even decades begin to soften and dissolve, where the gentle pulse of life within each of us and between us can beat freely once more. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. And sometimes, the quiet space between two people, it simply vanishes. A subtle erosion, like grains of sand carried away by an unseen current. One day you look across, and the shared stillness, the feeling of absolute peace, is no longer there. It has been replaced by a different kind of quiet, a silence heavy with unspoken questions, with a sense of guardedness. She doesn't feel safe, not in the way she once did, not in the way that allowed her spirit to unfurl, gentle and vulnerable, in your presence. So, how do we bring back that lost silence? How do we reclaim that feeling of deep, abiding peace? The path back to trust, back to that intimate understanding, it doesn't begin with grand gestures. It rarely does. True healing, true reconnection, starts much closer to home. It begins with a soft, deliberate return to yourself, to your own forgotten sensitivity,
to your own presence. This is where the journey truly begins, not by seeking to change her, but by turning inward, by becoming a deeper vessel for awareness. It asks for a particular kind of courage, the courage to simply slow down, to truly slow down, in a world that constantly pulls us forward, demanding pace, demanding action, demanding constant doing. The act of deceleration can feel revolutionary. It's an act of defiance, a sacred rebellion against the relentless current. Can you feel it? That subtle pressure, always urging you onward, that internal hum of expectation. To quiet that, to truly settle into the rhythm of your own breath, that is the first step. And when you slow, a new capacity emerges. The courage to listen, not just with your ears, mind you, not just to the words spoken or even the tones, but to listen with your entire being, to soften your internal landscape, to open yourself to the subtle currents, the unspoken language that flows beneath the surface of every interaction, to listen to the spaces between the words, to feel the resonance in the air. This kind of listening, it requires a vulnerability, a willingness to be fully present, without agenda, without judgment, without the need to fix or to solve. It is simply to be there, to hold space, to allow. And then there is the gaze, the way you see. We look with our eyes, of course, but the deeper truth lies in how we see with our soul.
Remember that initial spark, that first tremor of recognition. What was it that truly drew you in? Was it not a certain light, a unique vibration, an undeniable sense of something profoundly beautiful and mysterious? That initial pull, that deep, resonant attraction, it is not a sin. It is not something to be shamed or hidden. No, it is the universe remembering itself, a fundamental energy seeking its counterpart, a recognition of a truth held deep within the fabric of existence. Attraction is not sin. It's the universe remembering itself. It is the echo of creation itself unfolding in the space between two beings. But over time, we sometimes forget this wonder. We begin to see in terms of function, of role, of expectation. We begin to take for granted the very miracle that first captivated us. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He doesn't lose his potency, his essence, simply by the passage of years. No, he loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when his gaze becomes dulled by familiarity, by habit, by the everyday, when he ceases to see the infinite shimmering depth in the eyes of the one beside him. A man doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder. When we learn once more to see each other not as a function, not as a wife, a husband, a partner, a mother, a provider, but as a living, breathing miracle. When we look past the roles and into the boundless, unique expression of life itself. When we stop seeking an expectation, a predefined outcome, and instead embrace the infinite depth that resides within another soul. Then something remarkable happens. The space between you, once heavy and perhaps a little suffocating, begins to breathe again. It fills with air. It becomes light. It becomes expansive. And life, that current, that vital force, that creative, healing, sacred energy, it begins to flow freely once more, unimpeded, unblocked. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. This energy, this connection, it is the very essence of vitality. When it is blocked, when it stagnates, we don't just lose a physical expression of intimacy, we lose something far more profound. When energy is blocked, we don't lose sex, we lose vitality. We lose a certain lightness of being, a spark in our eyes, a deep resonance with the world around us. The path back to this flow, it is a path of tenderness, a path of presence, a path of seeing. Remember, the body speaks a language of its own, but it is always the soul that initiates the deepest conversation. Desire is the language through which the soul speaks. It is not merely a physical craving, but a yearning for connection, for recognition, for union. And within a woman, this current is particularly potent. She is a vessel for life, for creation, for profound feeling. When she feels safe, truly safe, her energy unfolds. When a woman breathes deeply, life breathes with her. Her breath is a sacred rhythm, a conduit for the life force itself. And when that breath is free, when it is deep and uninhibited, it invites life to flow more fully, more vibrantly, through her and into the shared space between you. So listen, not just with your ears, but with your entire being. See, not just with your eyes, but with the boundless wonder of your soul. Feel, not just the surface, but the profound depths. The invitation is always there, to rediscover the sacred in the everyday, to remember that desire, in its purest form, is a song, not a demand. Desire is not the body calling, it is the soul singing. It is a yearning for true connection, a longing for the mirroring of two souls, finding echo in each other. This return, It is a gentle unfolding, a quiet rediscovery. It demands patience. It demands reverence. It demands courage. The courage to simply be, to be present, to be sensitive, to be open. And in that openness, in that returned presence, in that rediscovered wonder, the peace you both seek will begin to settle, not as something forced, but as a natural blossoming, a quiet, profound return to safety, a sacred space where life, in all its richness, can flow once more. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken. And so we find ourselves at a quiet crossroads, perhaps a place where the vibrant pulse of life that once surged through us with such effortless grace now feels like a distant memory. A gentle current, once roaring like a river in spring, now seems to whisper, almost imperceptibly, beneath the surface of our days. You might feel a certain emptiness, a yearning for something you can't quite name.
A loss of connection, not just with another, but with a deeper part of yourself. But let me share a truth, a profound whisper from the very core of existence. That energy, that profound vitality that you might feel has faded or become disconnected, it never truly disappears. It cannot. It is the very essence of your being. It is simply waiting, waiting for your attention, for your softness, for your deep conscious presence. It waits for you to remember, to re-engage with the sacred current that flows within you and through all things. This isn't about chasing fleeting sensations or rekindling a forgotten flame through force of will. No, it is about understanding the subtle mechanics of life itself. Between a man and a woman flows not just passion, but life itself. A creative, healing, sacred force that seeks expression, seeks connection. And when this energy, this vital current is blocked, we don't just lose what we call sex, we lose vitality, we lose joy, we lose our capacity for true intimacy, for inspiration, for the very vibrancy that makes life worth living. Think of it as the breath of the universe moving through you. Do you feel it now? The quiet rhythm of your own breathing? It is the most primal act of life. And in that simple, profound act lies the key to unlocking what feels lost. When a woman breathes deeply, truly deeply, from her core, life breathes with her. The world itself seems to expand, to soften, to respond to that open, receiving energy. And a man, when he aligns with this rhythm, when he learns to breathe with presence and intention, he doesn't lose power when he ages. He loses it when he stops looking with wonder, when he stops breathing in the mystery of life and of the woman beside him. This energy, it waits for you to cease fearing your own strength, your own exquisite light. We are taught, often subtly, to be wary of our deepest desires, to contain our potent life force, to see attraction as something to be managed or even ashamed of. But attraction is not sin. It is the universe remembering itself. It is a magnetic pull, a resonance that speaks of unity, of returning to wholeness. It is the soul's deepest language. And desire, in its purest form, is not merely the body calling for release. It is the soul singing. A deep, resonant song of recognition, of connection, of the longing to merge and create. To awaken this, we don't need complex techniques or strenuous efforts. We need gentleness. We need presence. We need to listen to the body, not as a separate entity, but as the sacred vessel of the soul. Can you feel even now the subtle come beneath your skin? The warmth that resides in your belly, in your heart? This is the current, always there, always flowing, even if you've built walls around it, even if you've forgotten its song. It's about cultivating a deep awareness of your own interior landscape, to feel the very air as it fills your lungs, to truly taste the food on your tongue, to hear the silent beat of your own heart, in unison with the rhythmic pulse of the world around you. This is where the awakening begins, in the simple, unadorned act of being present. Allowing yourself to feel the inner warmth, the subtle currents of sensation, the quiet yearning for connection that is not weakness, but a profound strength. This journey is not an end, but a tender, beautiful new beginning, a return to your innate essential self.
It's about healing the distance between your body and your soul, allowing them to dance together once more, in harmony. To understand that passion doesn't disappear, but transforms, becoming deeper, richer, more profound with age, if only we allow it the space to breathe, to be honored. The meaning you seek, the intimacy you long for, the inspiration you crave, it all springs from this awakened energy. So lean in closer now. Listen to the silent hum within you. Feel the earth beneath your feet, the air on your skin. Allow your breath to deepen, to soften, to expand. This is your vital force, stirring awake. This is your light, remembering its brilliance. It has always been there, patiently waiting for you to turn your gaze inward, with kindness, with reverence. Love, feel, breathe. The energy within you has never died. It's been waiting for you to awaken.